Most games have a tutorial, and in this tutorial, they teach you the basics, right? But then you go to play the game, and some dude named Chuck, who's been training his entire life, just beats you up in this quick play match. So you go to YouTube and you search up, how do I get better? You start learning positioning, call out sound cues, and you improve at the game. Now you're Chuck, and now you're stomping people out in quick play. You finally decide to get off the game, and you realize you have no idea how to play the most important game, which is the game of life. In the game of life, you learn a lot from those around you. However, for most people, those people around them don't know everything. They gave a tutorial, but there's still mechanics to be learned. It isn't complete, which is where we are now, right? You want to learn these higher level mechanics that the tutorial left out, and I will provide you those. What I discuss in this video is the equivalent to positioning, callouts, and sound cues in real life. Just like for video game tutorials, different guides have different pieces of advice, but they all share similar, broader messaging, right? There are 5 mechanics in life that I will be sharing today, and each covers a different aspect of life for the most part. However, they all work together to create a better life, a better future. They help you get better at the game of life. The first of which is mental health. I want to use an analogy to say it's like recoil control, right? Having good recoil control ensures that even when the gun has kickback, you can still continue to be effective, right? Gun can be going all over the place, but if you can control that, it doesn't matter. What is good mental health, right? It's a combination of things. I think good mental health is self-control, right? You have the ability to control your emotions, your actions, what you will do, what you will not do, right? And I also want to tie in discipline with that, being able to do things that you don't necessarily want to do, but you know are best for you. Another sign of good mental health is confidence, believing in yourself, having confidence in who you are and your capabilities, all that stuff, right? Another part of a good mental health is optimism, right? If you're one of those people who never see the good side of anything, that's not healthy, right? If you always see the negatives, you never see the positives, I don't feel like that promotes a healthy lifestyle, a healthy mind. And the fourth thing I thought of, and I'm sure there's more things for good mental health, is resilience. Meaning when things go wrong, you don't quit. It's kind of like the idea of never giving up. So if you have a combination of those 4 things, self-control, confidence, optimism, and resilience, I think that's a sign that you have healthy mind. That you I said that word, that you have a healthy mind. Okay, but how do we achieve all of these things, right? We know what good mental health looks like, but how do we actually get our mechanic of mental health better? And I think it's actually pretty simple, right? For self-control, the more you practice self-control, the more you practice, not doing certain things, the more you practice making yourself do certain things, the more good you get at it, the better you get at it. And something else that helps with kind of just everything, the more desire you have towards doing something, I think the easier it is, right? So if you have a super strong desire to be to be more self-controlled, then it's gonna be a lot easier to become more self-controlled. If you're like in despair, bro, I can't control myself. It's a mindset thing. It's kind of sounds dumb to say that, but if you have the right mindset, if you're like saying I am going to be in self-control, I am to be more self-controlled, then it just kind of makes it easier. So it's a combination of just practicing it through, repetition and also just, having a stronger desire to be in control. Now, the second thing for confidence, how do we become more confident? I think it's by showing yourself that you are capable. If you know you can do certain things, if you know that when you say something, you can do it, like let's say you have a goal and you go out and achieve it, that's going to give you some confidence, right? If you know you can do certain things when you say it, you'll move differently. Now, how do we become more optimistic, right? This kind of might sound weird to some of you guys, but I think to become more optimistic, you have to force yourself. And that sounds weird, but what I mean is you forcefully make yourself reframe how you talk, right? If you catch yourself saying something pessimistic, make yourself say something optimistic. The more you pretend, the realer it becomes, right? So the more you correct yourself, when you say something pessimistic, no, optimism. The more you do that, the more you become optimistic. And then eventually you'll catch yourself saying optimistic things like just naturally. And that's where you'll be like, oh shoot, I'm optimistic now. And the final thing, resilience. To become more resilient, you have to enter resilient required tasks. It's kind of the same with self-control where you just got to practice it. You just got to train that muscle almost. The more that you practice resilience, the more that you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, the more you put yourself in situations that may have mistakes or you mess up. You gotta put yourself out there, and the more you do that, the more practice you get, the more resilient you will become. The second mechanic is goal setting, and it's like strafing. It helps guide you out of places you don't want to be and helps you aim where you want to shoot. Now, proper goal setting, and I've talked about this before, so this might be kind of familiar to you. It means having ambitious goals, but they're also realistic, right? So I'm not worth $100,000. So if I say I want to be a billionaire by 2027, it's ambitious, but it's also not realistic, right? So it's good to have big dreams, good aspirations, good goals, big goals. But when it's not realistic, there's no real use for it. Something else that is good with goal setting is they have to be clear and understandable, right? Don't have a vague goal where it's like, um, start making money. It's like, okay, that's a good goal, a good intention. However, you need to actually have something more than that, more clear. Like, what does that even mean? Make more money, but how, right? Your how should be the goal, not necessarily, give me more money. Something else with good goals and kind of managing your goals is they should be visible and present in your mind. There's no point in a goal if you never think about it. Something else I think is good with goal setting is you should focus on how you get the goal, not necessarily the goal itself, right? So if I had a goal one time to have 10,000 subscribers by X date period, I don't know. And I was so focused on the number that I didn't really focus on how to get there. And I think that's why I never reached that goal because I said I want to get to 10,000 subscribers, but I never asked what are the systems that bring me to that 10,000, right? I never said, okay, well, I could edit better. How do I edit better? I could do this. How do I make better thumbnails and titles? I never did this. I never broke down the goal. And when you keep a vague, broad goal and a goal that isn't about a system, but just about a mile mark, something like that, when you have a goal like that, I feel like it's harder to achieve. So to kind of, put this all into a box, the proper way to make goals, in my opinion, and I'm not the only one who says this, I kind of got it from other people, they have to be ambitious. They should be ambitious, but they also have to be realistic, right? You can't say you want to be a billionaire tomorrow, right? That's not realistic, especially if you don't have a business or anything like that. They should be clear and understandable. You should know what you mean, and you should be able to kind of explain it simply. And they should also be visible. You should have like something on your wall that tells you your goal, on your desk that tells you your goal, and also have it be present in your mind, right? There's no point of a goal if you never think about it. So make sure you think about your goals constantly. Focus on the systems that bring you to your goal, not the goal itself, right? So I could have a goal that says make $50,000 a month, right? Just random numbers, random goal. But it's better to focus on how to get that 50,000 than that system itself. So if I want to get $50,000 a month, I should have a goal. Instead of getting that, maybe I should think about, well, maybe I need more advertising, or maybe I need to hire more employees to help me, or something along those lines. You get what I'm saying? I think it's more possible to achieve a goal when you focus on how to achieve it and not the goal itself. So that's what I'm trying to say there. Now, the third mechanic is purpose, and purpose is like aiming. If you don't have purpose, you aren't going to hit your shots. So what is purpose, right? Purpose looks like doing something that brings you fulfillment and a sense of success. That's my definition, right? It's a reason that you get up every morning, your purpose, like, oh, I really want to get up because I want to make YouTube videos, or I want to learn the banjo, whatever your situation is. I personally found my purpose when I started making YouTube videos when I was very young. First grade is when I started. And I didn't know it was my purpose back then, but I just knew I really enjoyed it. And then later on in life, I realized that I could actually make an impact with YouTube videos. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And I had a sense of fulfillment and a sense of success from making YouTube videos and growing my channel. So that's my sense of purpose. That's how I founded mine. That give you kind of an idea of how you can find yours if you haven't. Really, if you just find something that you find enjoyable, then that may be your purpose, right? You could try it out. If you don't feel fulfillment, if it's just kind of like, oh, this is kind of fun, but not really, then that's not your purpose, right? Ask yourself, what am I here for? What can I do to better myself and those around me? When you discover your reason for being here, you discover the purpose you can pursue. The fourth mechanic is habits. Habits are like pulling the trigger to the gun, right? Everything else has helped you adjust your shots to be more accurate. Now all you have to do is put in the work that leads to your goal. By building habits, you change who you are. Whatever your goal is, the person who has that goal already achieved, look at what they do, look at their habits, and then take them. Make a habit tracker, and I'll put one on the screen just to kind of explain what it is visually. It's pretty simple. You can Google it if you want to, or buy Atomic Habits. It's a pretty good book. Track your habits so that you can see your progress, right? Start small with your habits, make them easy, like meditate for 1 minute, and then you can build off of that, right? It's not going to be easy to meditate for an hour and a half every day when you haven't even meditated before. So make your habits easy to achieve so that way you can do them consistently. And then once you do them consistently, then you can up the difficulty and you can start getting more meaningful progress. The main idea is to become someone different, you must act different, which means building new habits and breaking your old ones. So now, you know 4 of the 5 mechanics in this game we play. The 5th has to do with the game itself. A part of my life that I want to pay more attention to is God, right? He is the one who has made the gun. He made the game itself. He made the game of life, right? And I want to say, if you've watched this far, I think it's very important that you start thinking about God, right? Just understand this question. Whether God is real or not is probably the most important thing you can ask yourself, right? Pascal's wager, we've all heard of it before. Maybe I'll explain it anyways. Imagine there's like 2 different scenarios, right? One where God is real and one where God is not real. And then imagine there's two different people, one that believes in God and one that doesn't believe in God. In the scenario where the person believes in God and God is real, they gain eternity. And in the situation where they believe in God and God is not real, they don't really lose much, right? If anything, you can argue that they actually gain still by having a strong moral basis and like a structured life and stuff like that. There's still benefits, right? It's not a complete loss. However, the person who does not believe in God, when if God is real, they could lose eternity. And if God isn't real and they are correct, I mean, like, you're right, but what do you do? You don't really gain much from it. So the idea is not to say that you should believe simply because the odds are in your favor. I want to say that because of this scenario or this, I guess, wager, it's a pretty good reason to think about God seriously and at length because there's a lot to lose and there's a lot to gain. And if you don't think about it, then you're kind of just, I guess, like, why would you not think about it if it's so important? It's so like at stake. So much is at stake. So I would say because of this reason, because of Pascal's wager, you should seriously consider God and you should think about him for a long duration. Many people falsely rep God, right? They say they believe in God, they say they walk in the spirit, but then they don't, right? And that gives a kind of bad image on God himself. So what I want you to do is to look past the people who claim to be children of God and look at the scriptures themselves and see what they say, right? Because there's like whatever happened with the Catholic Church, I don't know if it's true or not, but with the whole like child, molestation thing, whatever happened there, like if it is true, I don't know if it is 100%, I haven't looked at it at all, but if it is true, it's kind of like these are supposed to be God's people and yet they're acting in a way God will not approve. So just look at God and not his people, right? I can't force you to believe and I don't want to, right? The most I can ask of you is to consider, right? I have a video in the description if you are curious on how to be saved. And also, I have a video, it should be on the left side of the screen, on how to be saved. If you'd like to learn to start self-improvement, video on the right side of the screen. But that's all I got. Thank you for watching and praise God.